So what's the hubbub then? It's just hubble spit as I release another bubble like it's some suds from the tub as I scrub and I scrub till it's gone. This I had a mug because then I would make sure that she went to the bar and she was in that pumpkin, that Swiss or something else. It's a tragic prince, fuck off this shit because then Dracula would draw what he wants on the wall. With that ever present, ever relentless, gonna give them a present with this shit because then I would have been the pressure released from the valve. This is something to evolve, something to evoke a mirror in your soul so that you could be marrying someone else and that would be making Mary in the soul. Even if you would have met Mary on the spot, you would have never made the Mary that you want, so why don't you get married with this a thought? It would have been distant till it's close type stuff. Closing in with more of this foreclosure bitch like it's folded in a manila envelope for you and your children to read out loud like it was a 3D picture show. Something invented, yo, like it had the vents in bulk so it could release some of the moisture and it won't collect too low. This is just a dialed in, like the numbers push on the phone, the mode, with the little tangle and roll. And then I would have been tangling with the tire like roll, behind them bows. Like yo would have saw this was a circus show from the start because then I would have kicked a couple of shells to where they don't float and they just sit on the beach. This is rapid shit. A bunch of this I wrapped around what had the bark and taste. Like it was tall, I guess. Steps I took a procedures dope because then I would see some precious stuff. Like I was in Lord of the Rings. That's what I'm trying to convince y'all of. This is more than a cavalcade and something drawn by. You should have just put the Family Guy shit on that though. The disc that would spin, I'm at this discus just to win the Olympics because then I would bend time to the way I wished it. A wishbone you get from anything that lives. It's another branch I picked from the bit because then I had an idea that would get in my head. It wouldn't just be floating outside that bitch and where the follicles would have grown along so yo could touch the folders pole that still hold and burn your soul. This was another drip, a drop you could have called. Another mo for this I pull until it spoke till it was all saturated and stuff. So you need to clean that cloth or clean the cloth of the original position it was. This is more the pistons that pop inside of any engine there was. This is when the wizard would have got the new gem that he wants and it would have shimmered a lot more than the original one. This is the glitter on top of all of the wet that there was, if all of that sunlight would touch, and then it would have been the particles of the barnacles that be beneath of the shit that would flow at the dock where it's parked. That's what I guess I said. Don't mow with this flow until the dodos bark to hear some mo because then he would have loved, adopted a Joe. This was more than a chokehold, bro, because yo was lows in your ins and O's of the oxygen that flows from out of my mouth. Boom! The jaws of the croc are just scooping you up like you a small prey. So I need a lot to feel full like this was the smallest ball with a sneeze guard. Yo was on guard, well I was unguarded not because I was in a garden parked on this bench that I bought with these two hands at the end of my limbs on the top. Off the top is where I get most of the best because then David Mosby would know, but I know his name's not David on front, but if I said it just there, I had to put a mister on his ass because then the fucking mission that I'm on wouldn't make sense. Boom! That's fucking right. So take this up and code it up because then I could have gone and calculate more flow with this formula that would float because then it wouldn't have floated a boat but it would have floated your soul. So won't you take up as much as you want? Like this is the tape, dog. It was an audio cassette that you could flip at any moment you want. This is a memento for the momentum that I put into this. So won't you just put another pudding pop in the fridge where it gets more cold and shit. Then I could go where the coal would have been pulled. It was a mine shaft that they closed. But I'm opening the doors with this. It's going straight for the heart. It's a steak, I guess, that has no seal marks on. So I'm Hallmark cards that y'all can read out loud in a year and month. Anyone with a shot, the best shot straight from the saw, like it was shot from a gun that God would have installed. And then y'all would have seen the installment of this, that not need to be slaves with the cuffs on your wrist. So why don't you just carve a little spot on your day for spot of this song like it's a spot of a tea, and you can have a biscuit with and donk that bitch. Boom. That's right. 10 donking rip, I'm way surpassed my best, and I put more pressure on that bitch. Like, if you don't do that shit with a gun at my back, like I had an extra limb. That's what the fuck I saying with the extent that I would have went to make some of this extraterrestrial shit, extraterrestrial shit, extra imaginative, extra something on that bitch, and then I would have been ... for 5 seconds to cost my breath, and then I would have put a caution on that bitch like a car still works at, where my wit would have been hand in bag, like there's your change and receipt in hand. This is the roses I would give the Persian robe to, so I could flow this. Put in, then put on, then y'all would put on the fucking cliffs and your car would have been parked. Like I ran out of gas and stuff. I ran out of these Persian rugs. You'll have to accept these ones I got. Speakers bump until they blown, and then I blow my last piece of bubble gum. Some motherfucks go off yourself with something tall and rock your boat. It's an opera, dog, so toss the rose you got. Give me applause and drop your jaws like y'all in Oz. It's the Tin Man with sharp. I'm just gonna cut this which has this bark until you're wincing, then bark into the bush and brush. So you was lost from my gloss if I were to give it a toss, because then I would burn it like torch. So I burn you as well. Burn a ton to get just one, because then y'all would get the biscuit salt that's hard from off. When the temp was met, any attempt I give, I would have found and fought and furried for the squirrel that was furried too, because them would have been both of them at once, and both were bolts of lightning that sent from the clouds. This an extension of myself. Y'all extensions are wigs you would have bought at the fucking black market, cause they're the black wigs you want. Won't you get this, I said. Oh, you did? Oh, that's swell. TWA.